Golf's no different from hockey. Requires talent, self-discipline.
Golf requires goofy pants and a fat ass. You should talk to my neighbor, the accountant, probably a great golfer, huge ass.
How do you measure yourself with other golfers? By height.
It's a very, very special honor.
I'm Paula Creamer, and you're listening.
Well, we're waiting.
Hi, this is Martin Cove, a.k.a. John Kreese from Cobra Kai, and you're listening to
Quiet Please.
Let the word go out from here across the land. Let Daddy Noonan approve.
Hi, boys. Nice day for golf, ain't it? Quiet, please. Oh, you got secrets, eh?
Hey, this is Shooter McGavin. You're listening to the...
Hey, you guys. Hey, we're trying to have a podcast over here.
Welcome to another Quiet Please edition, number 127. It's U.S. Open week. We have a lot to talk about. Who's going to win the U.S. Open? What happened last week at the Canadian Open? A couple other little tidbits about the golf world. But we're on the threesome tonight. Joining us as always from the Bourbon Country, Bob Baldessari. Nice to have you with us, Bob.
Good evening, Andrew. We have a 3-ball tonight, so the pace of play should be wicked paceful.
Wicked fast. And we have our traveling salesman, Christian Azamis, the prettiest podcaster in golf. Just about to nibble down on his salad for dinner.
Yeah, it's currently sitting still in the bag that I just took up from the hotel bar. So we came in very hot and heavy tonight.
And what city are you in this week, Christian?
I'm in Indianapolis trying to get work done before this tornado apparently or bad weather hits this part of the country. So,
okay, I have a weather trivia question. Do you know what state in the United States has the most tornadoes?
I heard this before.
Oh, that's a good. This is one,
and it's not even close.
You know, I'm not able to participate a lot in these trivia questions because they're well before my time. So this is one that I can actually finally participate in. But I got to think about this one. Okay. I'll have an answer when we come back to it.
Okay. This will be not Boston Bob's brain teaser, but just a standard, current events brain teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk for a little bit about the Canadian Open last week. It was again a great tournament, great venue, and a pretty damn good performance by Bud Cauley. Bobby, did you get to see much of it?
Off and on, and then I watched the last 9 holes or so, and I was rooting for Bud Cauley. I mean, what he's been through with that car accident. I mean, he's a great player in college, had all the star making, and then life gets in the way. It's a shame, but kudos to him for really grinding, really working hard to get back. There's something about the Canadian Open. I like it. Being from New England, I don't know. It's the weather, the terrain, everything up there. The Canadian golfers, I had to get an A in there, right? Hey, Canadian golfers, I don't know. It's the par 3 14th, the rank with the officials are in referees and it's a fun event. It's but Bud played great. I'm trying to think what hole it was. One guy, I think it was even that one par 4. Was it 15 or 16? Well, a guy hit it was a 7-wood in there. He's carrying a 7-wood. That was interesting.
Yeah, there's so much of that going on now. 7-woods. Even some guys are even experimenting with 9-woods right now. But Christian, did you have a chance to watch any of the Canadian Open?
Yeah, I did. It was I think it was Bud Cauley's round of his life, personally, on Sunday. I think what he has been through is nobody should ever go through, first off. But I think also the comeback that he had was it's remarkable to where he is today and the confidence level that he probably gets from this now moving forward. He's a great person, such a likable guy on tour. I saw a lot of JT's tweets coming around as well. And even his comment on Instagram too, just shows you the kind of guy that Bud is. And I hope that it turns into something huge for him moving forward. But it was just a great tournament overall, and just so happy for him overall.
So he and JT both went to Alabama.
Yep.
Were they there at
Very
the
close.
same time?
I don't know personally.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like some of the stuff that I watched this weekend that was amazing. And you talk about these guys that catch lightning in a bottle and they have a great Sunday and they win a tournament. We talked about Aaron Rai at the PGA a couple of weeks ago was the perfect example of that. But Bud Cauley seemed to have that going on Sunday. And I don't know about you guys, but they showed a couple of worm's eye view of his putting stroke. My God, that guy looked like he was never going to miss a putt. It was, his aim was perfect, his path was perfect, his rhythm was perfect. It was unbelievable how good he was rolling his putter. I
think he secured the W when I forgot what hole it was. I think it was maybe 15 or 16 where he hit a really bad drive and it went way far right. And, I think it must have hit a tree and it came right back in the fairway or not fairway, but the right rough. Yeah. And I think that right there secured it for him because it was pretty smooth sailing moving in from there. But going back to your point, Andy, I think he was putting phenomenal. And outside of Bud, and I'm not taking anything from him, I think when you look at other players too, I'm not a huge, the biggest fan of this guy, but I think Wyndham Clark has also been playing phenomenal golf as of late. I mean, he's been playing some of the best golf since he won the U.S. Open a couple of years ago in L.A. There's a lot of guys that we could say from that initial tournament that have been playing great golf. And that's not to take anything away from Bud because of how well he played, but I think ultimately there's a lot of guys in that field specifically that are coming into their own, especially this week, which I know we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, Bobby, it just, through the years, I remember distinctly being on the putting green watching Billy Mayfair at TPC Boston stroke his ball on the putting green, and it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. And to watch Bud Cauley, the exact opposite of that, just absolutely, doing everything right. It was just, like I said before, looked like he was never going to miss a putt. It's just amazing. Yeah. And putting well, it's a lot of it's personal and a lot of it's can be more stylistic. There really are fundamentals to it that make a guy like Bud Cauley look like he's going to go on a long run making putts.
Yeah, I remember Billy Mayfair. You'd wonder if he made a 6-inch putt. I mean, that putter was moving crazy. But I was going to bring up what Christian said about you need a few breaks to win. The guys talk about all the time. There's going to be the times that your laser beam on, and that happens now and then. But there's always times like you misread it and mishit it. It goes in. You just barely make it within inches, get over a bunker. You hit it a tree, it comes back into play. There's all those things like that. And then Wyndham Clark, that was pretty cool. I saw the highlight. I didn't see it live, but when he put on the USA uniform, the hockey uniform, and he goes into that rink, the par 3, and he hits a shot, and that was fun. That was pretty cool. You don't see that too much. You guys are always laser beam focused and got the blinders on, and I thought that was a guy that we have bashed him here for some of the stuff he's done, but he was having some fun. I think that was a nice moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think the cool analogy here is obviously waste management.
Yeah,
but it's waste management without the debauchery. It was cool. It was fun. He put the hockey jersey on. People were still respectful. They were loud and having fun, but it was just a different way to do it the right way, and leave it up to the Canadians to do stuff the right way.
I think it was funny when obviously going on, I know we're just talking about Wyndham. I think it was funny. Some of them get the interaction between player and fans at times could be very funny. But him wearing the Jack Hughes jersey, I think that's one to remember from the tournament. And again, that's not to take anything away from Bud and what he did. But I thought it was just funny. The guy who scores the OT winner, obviously in the Olympics. That was just, I'm not going to say that was the top of the best moment of the tournament, but it was something that was very funny. And, again, there's just so many guys that had such a good event that, going into this week, especially, that has the confidence level. And I think it was just awesome I'm just so happy for Bud, because if you ask anybody in my inner circle, I was a huge fan of Bud growing up. Especially when he came out of college. I just liked the name Bud personally. And that was kind of where I drew my attention to him. No, it's a true story, seriously. And, just watching him as he really started to come on tour it was awesome personally, because I loved his swing, and that's really what drew me to him. And now watching him come full circle to, playing really good golf in earlier of his career, and then unfortunately having what happened to him happen, and then now coming back to where he is as a PGA Tour winner, it's a full 360 for him, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's funny and interesting at the same time that you can watch a guy get ready to win on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Like, you see guys sniffing around the leaderboard, not quite putting it together, and then bang, a week comes where he does put it together, and it's not the least bit of a surprise. So I think it was super cool to watch.
We've talked about this for a long time now, and how good of a spot golf is in at the moment. How many golfers can we name that the average person may not know? Like, nobody's gonna. If you're not an avid golfer, you're not gonna know who Bud Cauley is. Watching the fields each and every single week, and the amount of great players that are not Scotty or not Rory or not whoever it is that are playing up there, like, it just shows you how good of a spot golf is in, but how difficult it is to even come close to winning on tour.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, though, because I've heard people use the exact opposite argument.
Oh, right? Same. Absolutely.
The fact that Bud Cauley, nobody knows who he is winning a PGA Tour event.
Yep.
Means that golf is not in a great spot,
yeah.
Which I don't agree with. But I've heard people use that argument in the reverse direction.
Yeah. And this is not a slap to them whatsoever. I just don't think that, like, we're all, like, the three of us, even including BE, and same goes for Alan, like, we are all avid golfers. And I think anybody who's an avid golfer, who is a golf nerd, is going to look at that and say, yeah, Bud Cauley winning the Canadian Open is not bad for golf. I think it's great for golf because of how he is as a person, but also the things that he does for the game of golf. And I think that he may not draw a crowd like a Ricky Fowler or Rory or Scotty or whoever, but this guy is grinding every single week on tour, and he's playing really good golf. The same argument was made when Wyndham Clark won the U.S. Open a few years back at L.A. I mean, a lot of people were not happy with that because who's Wyndham Clark? But it was great for the game to see new up-and-coming players, especially win a major, but, even just win a normal PGA Tour event.
Agree. And one last thing before we get to Bob's brain teaser. Is that the Quiet Please Golf Podcast is a bunch of avid golfers. We're not a bunch of yahoos that don't really know the game very well. So, and there's a lot of that out there in the podcast world, right? But we're not that way. So for us, and I think our listeners tend to fall in that category too. So I think it's kind of cool to watch some of that stuff play out.
Hey, Christian. Well, yeah, real quick. I mean, I'm young enough to remember being in my dad's golf shop at Hillview Country Club in North Reading. When a player would win a PGA Tour event, they'd win $40,000, and the members would go, "Are you freaking kidding me? Guys winning $40,000 must be nice. All this money, crazy."
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that a step further. So. And for the longest time, the PGA Tour winning purses were in multiples of nines. Okay. Mm-hmm. So a $45,000 winning check was pretty much an average tournament. Sometimes you'd have a $54,000, like the Players Championship might have 63, right. And then you'd get a $72,000 check. But it was literally between 45, 54, 63, 72. maybe even a 90 every once in a while, but that was all they had. It was all they were getting.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Okay.
Well, so we're going to throw this out there with it's we're heading to U.S. Open week. My caddy on the bag with me for my trivia this week was young Andy. So we worked together on this. We have a little PS one later that I think is really, really cool, but we're going to go with this one tonight. So this is the 6th U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills. What are the 5 golf courses, the 5 venues in America that have hosted at least 5 U.S. Opens?
6 or more.
6 or more. Yeah, 6 or more. Yeah. There's 5 of them.
It's a great question.
So we'll sit on that for a little while, and we'll come back to that. And it's a perfect segue for us to roll right into the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills. Bobby, talk to us a little bit about Shinnecock.
Well, the first U.S. Open at Shinnecock was 1896. James Folis, if I'm pronouncing that right, he won it with a one score.
Well, I'll be the judge of whether you're pronouncing it right or not.
Foulis, James Folis, played 2 rounds in one day, shot 152. He won by 3 shots. So that started. Well, I was going to throw this in later, but Shinnecock's the only United States golf course that is holding in 3 different centuries the U.S. Open. 1896, obviously in 1986, Raymond Floyd won. Go Raymond! I got to meet him right after that. Amazing. 1995, Corey Pavin with that amazing forward on the 18th hole. Retief Goosen in 2004, and then 2018, Christian's guy Brooks. But it's funny. Raymond, Corey, and Retief won by 2 shots each. Brooks won by 1. We talked about James in 1896 wins by 3. So there's a track record there at Shinnecock of tight contests coming down to the wire, 1 or 2 shots. So it should work out to be a pretty good event.
So if you guys ever want to take a minute to do some Googling, the year Corey Pavin won, which was 1995, I was actually there. And 1995, the mid-1990s was a weird time for golf equipment, like a really weird time. Like stuff was starting to get more technical. It went through a super ugly phase, super ugly phase.
With that Cleveland VAS.
So if you want to laugh, look at the Cleveland VAS woods and look at the Cleveland VAS irons. He was playing both. Right. Corey Pavin was when he won the U.S. Open.
Right.
And that is some of the craziest looking golf equipment you will ever see in your life.
Sure is.
It's nuts. Christian, you probably don't remember the 1995 U.S. Open, do you?
I do not. Wasn't even born.
Hey, did you ever hear Christian, you ever heard of the Power Pod driver?
No, never heard of that either. No, this was all before my time, guys. All before my time. I was probably thought of in 1995, but not. I was born in obviously 96. So
it looks like a microphone. Like, I'm serious. This is the most bizarre thing ever. Power play.
Like an old like Frank Sinatra microphone.
Yeah. I do love me some Frank Sinatra. I will say that.
Yeah. So Christian, do you have any memories of the U.S. Open there when things got crazy with Phil putting it off the green?
Well, I remember watching Phil obviously hit the putt and then taking the stroke penalty and then just not even having a reaction to it. What's after that, pretty much. But I mean, Shinnecock is a phenomenal track, and I think looking at this week especially, it's going to play very hard, like any U.S. Open should. It's my favorite tournament. That I've said this on the air. I've said it to all my friends. Like, U.S. Open's my favorite tournament. I think it's just it really puts a test to how good the pros are, and especially this week at Shinnecock, it's going to be it's just awesome, and I can't wait to watch it. But going back to Phil, I don't think I really remember it too much, to be honest with you. But I remember like the replays of it happening, but that's only my memory of it so far.
Yeah, so I I have a pretty pretty good memory of it because I was probably in my 40s when it was going on. But the the golf course can tend to get to the point where it's on the edge of unplayable. And I think that's been one of the criticisms of Shinnecock. While everybody loves the property, they love the layout, they love the golf course, but they also have been critical of how close it becomes to unplayable. Bobby, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's well put. The design, the location, everything about it. William Flynn designed it. I think it was 1931. He did that. I mean, exceptional design, exceptional location. You've got the wind. You've got all these elements to look. But yeah, the USGA with their history, they wanted to protect par. That phrase, and some of the contours of the greens, they get on the edge. I mean, you can syringe them as best you want, but I don't. I got a feeling it's not going to get that crazy. It's not going to go over the top, but it's going to be a classic U.S. Open. I don't know. We haven't talked about it yet, but I think under par can win 1, 2, maybe 3, something like that.
Yeah.
Kristen, what are your thoughts on the golf course?
Well, I think for me personally, and I know a lot of people disagree with it, I love when a US Open plays extremely difficult. Like for me, going back to Olympic in 2011 when Webb Simpson won at +1, I love that. I think when the final score is plus something, whatever it is, or even par +1, 2, or 3, whatever. I I like that because we're used to seeing these guys fire birdies, 12, 13, sometimes 20 under par. I love when a golf course like Shinnecock or the U.S. Open, for that matter, really challenges pro golfers. And I would not be shocked in the slightest if it played more difficult than what people are saying, especially when the wind picks up. Being on Long Island, that's a bear. It's awful to play in. And I don't know. I think even par, somewhere around even par, 1 under, I would say at most. But I would not be shocked in the slightest if the final score was +1 or +2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've looked who's won there. Floyd, Corey, Retief, Brooks. You got guys that aren't scared of anything. Really good shot makers. Exceptional short game. I think the mindset. Obviously, Raymond, like just so you kind of look at somebody who can do that. Has that mindset. Great ball striker. Can deal with. You're going to make a few bogeys. You don't want to make the big, huge number. But when you just look who's won there, I think that can help. Maybe decide who might win this time.
Yeah, well, whether you like him or not, Brooks said it perfectly a few years ago. You're playing against, 30 guys when you tee it up? I mean, that goes for really any tournament if you think about it. And he could not be more accurate with what he said. I think when you look at this U.S. Open, you're probably looking at maybe 10 to 15 guys at most that could really, realistically hoist the trophy on Sunday. And that's not a lot of people, but it's those 10 to 15 people are going to be, within their own reason. They're going to be the best ball strikers. They're going to be really good putters, but they're really going to have it in between the ears for those 4 days, especially with their caddy, and just be locked into every single shot that they're going to hit.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, Brooks might have stolen that a little bit from Jack. Jack used to say that he liked the majors because he knew that a lot of players had counted themselves out. And I think that's a pretty valid way to approach it. And it's a healthy way to approach it too. So another thing that I thought was interesting this week, when Rory was doing his press conference, Rory was giving a little bit of a warning / hopeful sermon that the USGA would be smart the way they set it up. Because really, at the end of the day, criticizing Shinnecock would only ever happen for setup. It's not going to happen for any other reason. And it would be a shame if it ended up coming down to a situation like that where they've had in the past. And it's been a couple of US Opens where they've had similar situation. The one that Ray Floyd won, that Greg Norman was leading, the 1985 one, or 86 one, sorry. That one was full of difficult situations on the golf course as well. So hopefully Rory's right, and that doesn't become part of it, part of the story, and it'll be a great event.
Well, do you guys think that we see a Grand Slam winner this week? Do you think Scotty gets it done?
Scotty said he didn't care.
The only reason I would say no to Scotty is simply because of his putting this season. I feel like his putting has not been up to par, and you have to be making the putts at Shinnecock especially to win an Open. But you never bet against him. I mean, he's just one of those guys that can easily flip a switch and turn it on. But I was just talking to my buddies about that this week to see if Scotty could get it done. And some say yes, some say no. Others say Rory, and others say it's a coin flip, like we saw with JJ Spawn. So you just don't know.
Well, that brings up a really good opportunity for us to do our U.S. Open picks, sponsored by Holderness and Bourne. So we're going to pick this week 3 picks. So everybody's going to choose their favorite. They're going to choose a dark horse, and they're also going to choose a top player to miss the cut. So let's start with our friend Brendan Elliott and co-host, who sent us our stuff. So Brendan's picks were, let me pull these up. Brendan has Rory to win. He's got Bud Cauley as his dark horse, and he has Bryson DeChambeau as his top player to miss the cut. I'm not thinking he's going to be alone in that last choice. Bobby, who you got?
Okay, so I'm going against the grain a little bit from what I normally do, but I thought it through, and I do have Scotty as my favorite. And I think because of what I just talked about with the Raymond core, I think the mindset, and he's so good with the irons. I mean, I know his putting, whatever, but maybe the U.S. Open, it's nobody's lighting it up and making putts all over the place. So you want to make some putts, but he's so good with the short game and the mentality. So I've got him. Can we do kind of what our second place? Nah, well, I was between him and somebody else. I've been high on Matt.
Don't change the rules.
I've been high on Matt Fitzpatrick. Okay. Okay, I gotta say it's like we're back home in Boston. The Dark Hoss, whatever. I'm going with Cam Smith. He had he's kind of maybe, I don't know. Is he playing? I should have checked. I think he's playing, right?
I'm not certain.
Wow.
That would be a really dark horse if he's not playing.
Yeah, that would come. I'm gonna have to double check on this. First I was thinking Tommy Fleetwood, but he's not so much dark horse per se. But last time Fleetwood played pretty well there. But I think Cam Smith showed me up in the PGA Championship. Granted, kind of different, but still in the mix at a major. And then missing the cut, I got Bryson.
Christian.
So I'm gonna agree with my bourbon lover over here. I'm gonna say Scotty gets it done this week as well, because Scotty's been knocking on the door really the past few events that he's been playing, and I know that he has not been putting it well, but this is not his top game that we've been seeing recently, and I think that he's just waiting to break out and play really well. I do think that he's going to get it done on Sunday. I would say that my dark horse, for me, a dark horse is a very long shot, so I'm going to say Kevin Roy. He's been playing really well this year. Would love to see it happen. I think that I would freak out if that happened on Sunday. My dark horse, I would have to say, is going to be a bold pick, but I'm going to say Justin Rose misses the cut this week.
So your dark horse is Kevin Roy.
My dark horse is Kevin Roy, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Andy.
But top player to miss the cut, Justin Rose.
Yeah, good, because you called him your dark horse too, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, to miss the cut, Justin Rose.
That's a.
Hey, Andy, I double checked, and Mr. Cameron Smith is teeing off Thursday morning at 7:19.
but at a different course.
He'll be on Long Island at Shinnecock.
Yeah. So my picks, I'm not picking Rory, not because I don't believe in my heart that he's not going to win, but I think this is a tournament for a guy who thrives in these conditions. I think it's Matt Fitzpatrick.
There you go. That was
It's a great pick.
I just think that this is it's an event for him. He does everything that a US Open winner needs to do. And he's my guy as my favorite for the week. My dark horse is going to be Ryan Gerard. I just think he's been playing some really good golf lately at a really good golf course at Muirfield Village. So Ryan Gerard's my dark horse. And to round out the best player to make the cut or top player to miss the cut, I mean, it's going to have to be Bryson as well. I take great pleasure in watching him miss the cut at majors and then blame his equipment or whatever it is that he's going to blame.
You know, it's funny. Actually, did Alan make a pick on this?
Alan did not send his picks.
You know, it's funny that we always talk about these players in like big major tournaments like this, but there's one player that none of us mentioned who's actually been playing pretty decent golf this year, and it's Jon Rahm. I noticed that out of everybody that just said, like, the two of you
could be, if you wanted to.
I didn't have. I don't think he's going to be irrelevant personally, but that's just me. So it's just curious. I was just curious out of it. That's all.
Well, those are the U.S. Open picks sponsored by our favorite apparel company, Holderness and Bourne. Okay, I think it's time for Don't Be That Guy of the week. So our friend of the show, Yip Strickler, who, quiet please, was his first podcast he ever went on. Yeah. And now he's this big famous stud now. But that's okay. He did a little piece this week on a father and son who won, I believe it was a member tournament. And Ty Flood is the son who played the tournament at a 14 index, shot a couple of really low rounds. They basically cleaned up. And not long after the tournament, Ty started posting some scores in the 60s. So it was the most blatant example of handicap cheating that I think Yip has ever uncovered. We shared it around as a group. It was pretty interesting, but come on, dude. And Yip actually had him on to interview him and talk to him about this. And he didn't have an answer for anything, like didn't. And it was just amazing that he was a little bit unapologetic about being a straight up cheater. And, you know, he's posting 66s, 68s, 69s after the tournament, and he's a 14 playing in the tournament. That's about as bad as it gets. So, you know, don't be that guy.
That was a good one.
Okay, time for final thoughts. So, Christian, we're on the 18th tee box. What do you got?
Well, before I get my final thought, I want to know the brain teaser question. Didn't you guys ask earlier about the
US Open? That's a really good point. That's poor.
Because I'm still thinking about it. I feel like Shinnecock has to be on that list. But then again, most of these I'm not.
So start throwing out some guesses. So part of the question was Shinnecock. This is the 6th time for them. But who are the other 5 golf courses that have hosted 6 or more? You got to come up with at least 3 of them, or you lose your quiet please card.
Boy. Can you give me like a hint of where they are?
Yeah. In the United States.
Well, thank you for that obvious one there. Whereabouts in the United States are they?
There's one in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Is that Oakmont?
That would be Oakmont.
Okay.
There's one in New York.
Bethpage?
No.
Bryson won there.
Oh, okay.
No.
No?
Bryson,
Whereabouts in New York?
Bryson won there.
I'm going to give you a couple of hints. Bryson won there. Fuzzy Zeller won there. Hale Irwin
won there.
Well, those last two, I don't really remember that much. I'm having a brain fart. I got nothing.
Wingfoot.
Wingfoot. Oh yeah, I remember during COVID. Yep.
Okay, now
West
California.
Iconic.
Oh, Pebble.
Yep.
Pebble. New Jersey.
New Jersey.
I won't even have a guess for you.
Not even a guess.
Not even a guess. Don't really know.
Jack won there. Lee Jansen won there. Those make no difference to you.
Phil won a PGA there.
It's in Springfield, New Jersey.
36 holes.
I got nothing.
They have the upper and lower course.
Begins with a B.
And ends with a
Stroll.
Baltus-Roll.
Got nothing.
Baltus-Roll. And then the final one, you're not going to get this one, but we're going to tease you on it anyway. Steve Jones won the last U.S. Open here outside of Detroit, Michigan. It's the famous place where T.C. Chen got his nickname of Two Chip Chen. Andy North won that year.
I don't even have a guess for you. I got nothing. I didn't even know who that guy was until you just told me.
Oakland Hills.
Yeah, I would never have guessed that.
So Oakland Hills, Baltusrol, Pebble Beach, Oakmont, Wingfoot, and now Shinnecock. All 6 times or more U.S. Open.
Yep.
All right, now we're going to go to the 18th tee box.
So my final thought, I'm looking forward to this week when it comes to the U.S. Open. I think it's going to be a great event, as always. I know Shinnecock's going to look absolutely fantastic, and it's going to really test the players this week in the field. And that just the second thought, too, is just, watching some of these different sporting events this past few days has really opened my eyes up to just like the world that we're living in today, and just like don't be an a-hole, pretty much. Like, just don't be that guy that nobody wants to be around. And I think everybody knows who I'm talking about from the event that happened on Sunday, and watching some of the things that transpired during that event just did not sit well for me personally. And, just be kind to people. It's not that hard. It's really not difficult. That's my final thought.
Robert.
Okay, well, I was going to talk about something different, but I'm going to go with this because I was mentioning Raymond Floyd a couple times. And anytime I've done a TV golf instruction tip, I do this one because it's not technical and people can put it into use. And so Raymond wins the 1986 U.S. Open. 2 years later, I'm down in Florida at Indian Creek Country Club. It's on an island, spectacular place. He's a member. I get to meet him. I meet him one day. The next, like a week later, he walks in and he goes, "Morning, Bobby. Remember my name." It was amazing. I started watching Raymond Floyd practice, and I was struck by he would stay in the same spot and hit like 50 chips from the same spot. Then he would move to a different spot, hit 50 shots. And I watched him practice before he went out to play, and he would putt, then chip, then work into the full swing. So one day I asked him, I said, "Mr. Floyd, I've noticed how you're practicing, and it's different than everybody else does it." And so that was in 1988. From 1988 to this day, when I go to a tournament, I'm the only one doing this warm-up different than everybody else. And I've had my students try it. So basically, you get ready to play, and you're putting first, and you're making lots of longer putts. You don't want to grind over 2 footers. You're just trying to get a feel for the speed of the green. Then you're hitting some chips. Then you get into pitches. Then you get into the full swing. And Ray Floyd told me he was trying to get less than 10 minutes between his last full driver swing and the first tee shot of the day, which 99.9% of the time is a driver. And everybody else gets to the golf course. They warm up, they're swinging. Then they go to the putting green and they cool down. And then they get to the first tee and they start to stretch again. and I just thought it was so fascinating and simple. So if you're listening, and I've said this for decades, like just give that a try next time you're getting ready for a tournament and you're doing your warm up.
You know, that's super interesting because I've been noticing myself that there are times where I will warm up too early and I'll be done hitting balls and it's still like 30 minutes before, or maybe even 40 minutes before tee time. And by the time you're up on the first tee with a driver in your hand, you feel like you haven't made a swing in a while. So I think that's good advice to heed for everybody. And I'm gonna be a little bit smarter myself as to how I do that. Two things I have for my final thoughts. We didn't really get a chance to dig in tonight about Phil Mickelson and the new issues that have come up this week about him being kicked out of his golf club at the farms at Rancho Santa Fe for improper contact with an employee. I think we will dig in a little bit more on this maybe next week's show. So that's definitely something that is super disturbing to hear. And how much further is this guy going to fall? It just keeps getting worse and worse for him. My last thought is an icon in Boston sports radio passed away.
Oh, yeah.
This week. His name was Eddie Andelman. People my age, Bob's age, we grew up in Boston listening to WEEI and sports radio. And Eddie Andelman changed the landscape of sports radio, probably not just in Boston, but in the whole country. He was an amazing talent, super generous, funny guy. Not everybody loved him, but he was an awesome guy. And I hadn't really heard about him or thought about him for a long time until I saw 2 days ago that Eddie Andelman passed away. And it definitely made me think a little bit about who he was and what effect he had on sports radio, both in Boston and across the nation. So everybody else, we missed you, Alan. We missed you, Brendan. It's going to be a great U.S. Open week. We look forward to wrapping this U.S. Open up next week with everybody. Until then, enjoy the Open.